We're live. Welcome, welcome, ladies. Hello, hello. My name is Taylor Thompson. We're live here in the She Network, where we're sharing her excellence today. And I have my beautiful friend here. I cannot wait. Most of you guys already know her. Some of you may not, but I'm going to take a few minutes. And as you're coming on, let us know you're here. We want to know if this is your first time here. And then also, because this is the platform we're on StreamYard, give them permission to use your name. Otherwise, I just see Facebook user. So we want to see who's joining us and who's saying hi and who's out there. So I have an incredible interview here for you, but let us know you're here. So welcome, welcome. Hello, Sarah. Welcome, welcome. Glad you're here. Sarah, you're from Ireland, right? I think we're all the way across the pond already right now. So Jessica Higdon, how are you, beautiful friend?
I am so good. I'm sharing this right now, so I hope you didn't hear me typing, but just want to make sure I share it and just appreciate you. And I'm glad to be here with you. I was just telling Taylor how much I miss her in person because, we can't get together these days. So
yeah, it actually, I miss, I was thinking about this. I was thinking about how much, I'm such a social butterfly. I love the interaction. I found myself I love going to events, not just for the content, but mainly for the connection and the relationships and the conversations that take place whenever you have in the live events. I miss that so much. It's kind of crazy, but let's talk about this. All right. So a lot of you guys give Jessica a big shout out here who are joining us. Hi, Jessica. Hi, Tara. Glad you guys are here. So a lot of people don't know, we knew each other way back, before you and Ray were even married. Yeah. We go way back, way, way, way back. So most people don't know that story, where you were the number one earner in your company. You guys hadn't even got married yet. And we actually met then. You were just fledgling little lovers at that point.
Yeah. And Taylor and Larry came into our company to do some consulting, and we heard them speak for the first time. And we were like, oh my gosh, this is mind blowing. Not only are two legends coming in to train us, but just hearing the perspective that you guys have that was so needed even back then. And I think is more so needed now because of all the craziness of social media and the internet and all the information. So it was amazing. And we got to know you guys not only on a business level, but a personal level through that experience, and have just been friends and coworkers and colleagues ever since.
Yeah, it was a really great connection because we got to meet you guys there as networkers. And then, then fast forward, as Ray started, really diving into social media, which is where we wanted to go, which we were totally most people don't know the difference between marketing and network marketing. They're completely different animals, right? And Ray is such an amazing obviously he was a great networker, but he really was a great marketer. He learned the marketing skills. And so whenever we went to you guys, we went to Ray, we're like, okay, we need help. We need to learn how to leverage technology. And so he was both of you are very instrumental in helping us. That's why I'm here right now. Seriously, I wouldn't be having this kind of platform if I didn't go through that learning process of learning marketing and social media and that kind of thing. So I'm forever grateful because, that it's made such a difference in working smarter, not harder, right? That's what it's
like. I remember you and the idea and the possibilities and how needed it was. And so it's really cool just to see that come to fruition, because you guys, obviously you've been doers and impactors your whole life, but it's really cool to see when somebody actually has an idea that's brilliant and amazing, that they actually take action on it and it comes to life, it comes to fruition. So when I saw this group launch and I saw all the different people involved and just the heart of it and everything, I was like, wow, that's really, really cool. And I'm really excited for it. So
Well, and wait, and I know this is about, I don't want this to be about me because this is definitely about, I want to be about you, but I do want to give accolades because, Jessica, she is in our founding circle. And I want to tell a little bit of backstory about that piece, the founding circle of the She Network, because it was literally almost like a year and a half ago. So Jessica invited me we went on this girls trip, right? And I was so excited. I was so excited because I had not been on a girls trip since college, right? It had all been like either work related or family related, but not a girls trip. I was like a little kid. I mean, I can remember responding to you. I was so excited. And it was me, it was you, it was Nadia Melton, Angel Fletcher, Diane Hockman, and Tyler, and just us six. And we went to LA, and we had such an amazing time. But this is where this really came together for me, this community and this vision of what I was thinking and what was on my heart. And to my point, and I want to share, because here's the thing, we all need people in our corner that cheer us on, no matter who we are. And it was that experience for me that you ladies were encouraging me, you can do this, do this, do this. And it was said, and I was like, it really gave me the courage to step out of my box and my comfort zone, right? No matter what, we all have comfort zones that we need to step out of no matter what. And that was a pinnacle point for me. And so those ladies are my OGs. So Jessica is definitely one of the OGs of the show.
Woohoo!
So thank you for that. But so let's talk about you. I mean, some of the ladies here, people know Ray and they know Rank Makers and all that, and but a lot of people don't know your journey and how. They say this kind of cliche, they're behind every strong man, there's a powerhouse woman. And I definitely would say that would be you.
I hope it's me. I hope it's not some other woman, but
no, it's definitely you, girl. Definitely you, girl. So, but let's talk about you. Let's talk about your story. Let's talk about your journey, because it's so great it's such a great story. So if you don't mind taking off and sharing that with the ladies here.
Sure. So I'll just start, and I know that you asked me to share a little bit of my personal story as well as my business story and my business journey, and how people kind of see certain names or certain people out there and they think, oh, overnight success, or oh, it came easily to you. And that's not the case at all. And I think that's not the case for most entrepreneurs that have had success. For a select few, but for most, that's not the case. But I was born in Cleveland, Ohio. I went to school up there, and at that time, when I was living up there, I was actually from a split family. So my mom and dad were never married. Actually, this is kind of personal, but my dad actually decided to have an affair with his wife, or on his wife with my mom. And that's how I came to be. And so I'm not bitter about that. I'm actually very grateful, because I overall had a great childhood, but there are certain things that, and I have a point to this, there are certain things that because of that situation led me to do and say and become the person that I was and the person that I am today. And so, my mom had a hard time. She actually was extremely successful in her career. She was a computer consultant for different companies. She would come in and help them with their software and things, and up in Cleveland. And she was very successful. And then, when my dad decided that he was going to stay with his wife, that was really hard for her. And everything just started kind of spiraling down from there. Now, I will say that my mom is an incredible mother. She is so heartfelt. Anybody who knows her absolutely loves her. But everybody in a certain point in time, we all go through our ups and downs. And so that led to, her eventually losing her job, having financial devastation, and suffered from some mental illness, and became bipolar, and started just having some real family issues with me in the home. And so I would go to school. Sometimes I wouldn't know if I was going to be picked up or not. And again, this is in Cleveland, Ohio, which has some very bad areas and some very bad people. And I would often just kind of sit there by myself. This is before all of the last person outside alone as a 10, 11-year-old girl with no one there to pick me up. I mean by that is when you live with someone who's going through mental illness or a tough time like bipolarity, you don't know what person is going to show up that day behind the curtain. And so sometimes I would be the best kid ever and life was great. And sometimes she would show up and pick me up from school and I was, the worst kid ever. And I was a piece of shit and I was going to be, uh, the person and the child and the family member that would ruin her day. And so I lived with that pretty much on a daily basis for years until my dad decided to step in and take over. And my mom got better. She got the help that she needed. And,
so I'm going to pause right here for just a minute, Jessica, because I'm thinking about like, first of all, like as a child, like you had to like, you were literally forced to growing up like overnight. And because you literally had to take on the responsibility, adult type responsibility. And the number one thing that women need, i.e. even little girls, is security. And that's something you didn't have. You didn't have that kind of foundation, that security, that wherewithal that made you feel loved and secured. Like I can imagine how, as a child, how tenuous that must have been for you, not knowing, okay, what's next? What is my life? What's next today? And
yeah, I mean, people. So I have a really good perspective on life, I think, because I saw it from two different sides of the coin. So my dad was very successful, very stable at that time, and my mom was successful and then lost everything and was sometimes living in and out of cars and in and out of motels with her, and she had that uncertainty going on in that moment. And it was probably very scary for her having a daughter that she truly loved. I mean, she truly did, but didn't know how to handle it at that time. And then also not being financially secure. So I got to see what I wanted out of my life. And I'm grateful for that. The other side of that uncertainty is, I was born into a broken home. And so I never felt like I had a place. I always felt like the black sheep. And I think that fueled me to want to work harder, just to feel significant and to feel like I belong somewhere. And so all of those things combined have turned me into the person that I am today. I have a very loving family, very loving parents, but it was hard, and I'm not going to pretend like it wasn't. It was hard growing up in that environment, and you just, like you said, you grow up quickly and you do what you have to do.
So Tom, I mean, if you mind sharing like, how did your dad stepped in. So how did his wife, accept, how did those dynamics play out? Do you mind sharing that? I mean,
I think she did the best she could for the situation, but still those feelings crept up in her often. And so, I'm not her daughter. And I'm not going to lie, as a teenager, I was a little shit. Like, sorry for the cursing, but I totally was. And part of that was just me feeling insecure, right, of my situation. But that was very hard for her. We fought a lot. Even as a kid and even as teenagers. Now we're very close, very good friends, but it did not seem like at the time that she was very accepting of me. And I think she tried, but it was really, really hard for her to accept that I was born from, this other woman that her husband had an affair with. And the other thing that was hard for me to accept was that she would forgive my dad, but she wouldn't forgive my mom or me. And still, they still really don't get along to this day. So it just kind of fascinates me.
Well, and again, now you're still taking the brunt. You're still taking on a responsibility, or you're being labeled with a responsibility that wasn't even yours. No, that wasn't your burden to bear. It wasn't your, it wasn't your plight to carry. And so I wanted to find out about that. And you probably acted out like, I was kind of like on your page. I was kind of a little shit too. Just saying.
Yeah.
But I think you may have done. For me, it was almost like, because I needed attention. I needed some sort of attention, and even bad attention was good and fine, right? It was accepting. So as you grew up, what took place? How did you, taking that independency and translating that into work ethic, translating that into independence, and how did that play into as you started getting older?
Well, like I said, I had a lot of loving people around me in my family, and I got to see a lot of different things. So I got to experience what I didn't want, and I got to experience what I did want. And so I looked at what I did want, and I took that and I said, okay, that's the person that I need to become, and that's how I need to show up in life. And I think all too often, especially now, people focus on what they don't want, and they focus on the people who don't have lives that they want to have, and they focus on the things that are fueling their negativity, instead of focusing on okay, let me show up as this person because this is what I believe in, this is who I want to be, and this is who I want to become. And so as I went through school, I always had in the back of my mind those mentors, one of which was my dad. And, different people throughout life that had served me, teachers, family members that were successful. And I took their words of wisdom and applied it to growing a business eventually, which I didn't know that's what it would turn out to be, but that's what happened.
Well, so this is such an interesting conversation, because this could have gone a whole different direction. Right? It could have gone a whole different direction. And I love what you just said about, people tend to focus on what they don't want. And so many times they're so busy trying to resist what they don't want, instead of moving towards and put their vision on what they do want. And there's a big difference in that mindset and that mentality, where one's resistant, one's attractive. But I love what you're sharing, because life, that cliche, it's life doesn't happen to you, it happens for you.
Mm-hmm.
And that's such wise words and such wisdom coming from, a young adolescent, to be able to make those life choices and to say, hey, I'm not going to be the victim, I'm going to be the victor.
Well, thank you. And I really do believe that most people who have overcome something have to have that mentality, or else you wouldn't survive. That really served me throughout my entire life was never to blame anyone for your own actions but yourself. And I've always taken that stance. And sometimes I fall behind on that. I'm only human, and I start to blame others, or I start to blame outside of myself. And I always 100% of the time pull it back, because that is, to me, one of the number one ways that you can step into your power and do what you need to do. And so fast forward, and I'm in college, and I'm getting my marketing degree. I'm working full-time. I'm trying to do a part-time makeup business in weddings and doing makeup, and network marketing falls into my lap. And I look at it as only the model, because I was so young at the time. I didn't understand any type of stigma or anything like that. All I saw was how it works. Yeah. And I looked at that and I said, okay, this is pay for performance. This is me holding myself accountable in whatever I do. If I stay accountable to what I do, then I can see success with this, because this is pay for performance, plain and simple. And so I looked at that and I said, okay, this is something I want to try. And then it didn't go so well. So I can share that story as well now if you'd like. Or
I would love that. But here's the thing that I do want to point out, which I think is fantastic. And I think that a lot of people coming into business and being an entrepreneur for themselves is that if they would serve themselves very well to have that kind of mentality walking into it, meaning that, pay for performance. So many people, I think, come in with unrealistic expectations. And so not having that kind of mindset of self-responsibility, self-determination, self-motivation, those leadership skills. And I always talk about like this right here, like everybody brings something to the table whenever they enter a business, and they have a set of leadership skills to some degree. They've just got to learn how to translate what they already know, i.e. a mom or whatever that is, and translate those skills into the business of being an entrepreneur. And I love that phrase, work for performance.
Yeah.
It's such a great mindset. And even at that age, to be able to translate that into a business. So talk about that. Talk about like your first business and what happened. Because you weren't an overnight success, right? I mean, shock. Hello.
Yeah, no, I just talked to everyone and they all joined and it was great. No, I mean, literally, I had no idea that there was a stigma around a home business, which is so weird to me even to this day. But I think more so than ever right now, that's going away because people are realizing, oh, shoot, like I have to control my own future right now. Yeah. But as I started talking, like I wasn't trained to say, hey, this may or may not be a fit for you or anything like that. I was just excited and I'm like, wow, I found this thing. And I heard everything. I heard pyramid. I heard, it's one of those things. It's a scam. And I'm like, what are these people talking about? And sometimes that served me just playing ignorant. I mean, not playing, actually being ignorant, because I was like, I don't know what that is, but hey, this is how it works. Yeah. And people were like, oh, okay. I don't really know what that is either. I was just repeating something that I heard. So that works sometimes, but I heard all these different things, and going through what I went through in my past, I wasn't very confident. Like if you had said to me, you're going to be on an interview with Taylor Thompson, you're going to have this amazing company and you're going to be doing all these trainings, I would have said, no, that's not me. So it really, really broke down my self-esteem. And I didn't sign anybody up for 6 months of working really, really hard. And that means talking to at least 20 people a day. And I mean, consistently 20 people a day, sometimes 50. I was not just dipping my toe in the water. I mean, I was talking to everybody and it just was not working for me. So it was a big shot to the ego. It was really self-defeating. And I remember driving past a dress in a store window that I wanted. And I drove past it like almost every day. It's kind of crazy to think now I could just buy a million of them if I wanted to. But at the time, like that meant so much to me because I could not get that one thing that I desperately wanted.
Wow.
And I was thinking to myself, okay, well, it's $300. So if I, move this money over here, and if I decide not to pay this bill, and if I just work these extra hours, like I can get that. And I realized what I was doing in my mind. And I think this is a very important point for anybody listening who's ever shifted money around in your mind to get something that you want. That's a terrible way to live. I'm sorry, but if you have to shift money around in your mind to live your life and do the things that you want to do, that's not a great way to live.
Yeah.
And I realized that. I became self-aware, saying, oh my God, I'm going to have to do this the rest of my life unless I change something or do something different with my business.
Wow.
And so that's kind of when I found social media and started looking at other options and went from there.
So, so this is a great point. There's a lot of nuggets in what you're saying too. First of all, the mindset in and of itself around money, and around you being able to look in the mirror and to be call self-evaluate. Okay. That old saying, like, for things to change, you've got to change. For things to get better, you have to get better. And a lot of times everybody wants to spotlight on, well, it's the company. Oh, it's the product. Oh, it's the comp plan. Oh, it's my upline. It's my downline. It's somebody else that we want to spotlight and shift blame to. And I love this visual that you're creating here, that you came to your own conclusion, like, I have to be different. I have to do something different. If I want to live this life and I want to have those things and not be in this existence of shifting money shifting to your point, I have to be different. I have to do something different. And a lot of times, most people never get to that crossroad. They never get to that place where they can seriously take a look in the mirror. Such a great, like, Jessica, like, you have like wisdom beyond your years, in this kind of thinking, right? But I do believe it has everything to do with the way you were raised and all the things that you had to go through and life experience that brought you to the place to where you had the maturity level to be able to come to that place. That's the way I see.
No, you're 1,000% right. I don't regret any of it. I really don't. And on top of that, my experience has helped me not only in business, but in being a mom, and especially a stepmom, because there are things that I think stepmoms or stepdads do that they don't realize they're doing, and how it's affecting the kids because they've never been in that position. Yeah. So there's so many reasons why I went through what I went through, and why you're watching and you're going through what you're going through, whoever is on here. So it's just really important to remember that.
So, okay. So now, so this is like whenever you started diving into social media. So did you start having success before you met Ray, or how did those worlds collide?
So I met Ray at an insurance company. A mutual friend invited him to do some marketing in the office, and I was the secretary there. This was part of me, like, working, going to school, all of that combined. Like, I was just super busy doing everything I could to make money. And I met Ray. I actually joined my first network marketing company through somebody else that we mutually knew. And we all started off as friends and just building together. And then when I transitioned into the other company that we met you with, Ray and I started as friends. He actually enrolled me in that company. And then I don't know exactly how long, but we started dating soon after that. And then, obviously became engaged and now married, and it's been amazing. So yeah, so I started in a company about 6 months before I met him, 6 to 8 months maybe, and then transitioned into the other company maybe 2 or 3 months after that.
So were you already having some success at the other company before you came into the company with Ray, and you kind of got your feet wet with social media and had some wins with that, and then transitioned that experience over? Is that what happened?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah. So I had a little bit of success, not on social media, at the other company. And then when I joined this one, I brought everything that I had learned wrong to do to the other one. And I got to be honest, like, I was really discouraged about running my business because I had never done anything like that before. And I wasn't prepared. Like I told you, I hadn't had any leadership telling me, oh, this is what you're going to hear and this is what's going to happen. So I thought, oh, I'm going to make a great check next week. This is going to be awesome. So when I went to the other company, that was Ray. Not only that experience that I had with the dress in the store, because that really kicked my butt and said, okay, I should give this thing another shot. So when I talked to Ray about this other company, he was the one who really helped me to see that, yes, this is what you're meant to do.
Well, and here's the thing too, like, I think to your point, it brings up a great point.
Sorry, Taylor, my internet just went out. I didn't hear what you just said.
Okay, no worries. I said to your point, I think it really brings up a great conversation that you had nobody to set you up. You had nobody to tell you, okay, this is probably to prepare you mentally. This is what these are the objections. This is it. How do you combat those things? What kind of mindset do you have? And so without that conversation, that you started thinking there was something wrong with you. And I think that happens a lot in network marketing because we set people up for unrealistic expectations. And we don't let them know, like, hey, this is normal. This is welcome to the club. Like, dude, there's nothing wrong with you. You're good. You got this, right? And then whenever they realize this is just a part of the process, then they go, oh, okay, there's nothing wrong with me. So many times people go by the wayside because they think they're not good enough. They're not good enough. And you may have like fell by the wayside if you wouldn't have, been able to come under this new umbrella, right? With Ray and kind of learn the ropes. So now Ray tells this story too, because you're kind of like paying the bills, like you're doing great. Like, how did that all play? Because I love this part of Ray's story because it's so noteworthy.
He tells it so nicely and so well. All I can say is that I just believed in him as a person. I don't know. There's something about him where, every relationship starts off, I shouldn't say every relationship, but there's many relationships that start off a little rocky. And our relationship did not start off perfectly. We had he was in a very bad place in his life, and I'm trying to make, this business work, and I'm working. And so it started off a little rocky, but every time he would do something that I didn't agree with, what I loved about him is he never lied to me about it. And he always owned up to it. And as I mentioned earlier, that's so one of my hardcore beliefs is never putting blame and always owning up to when you're wrong. And he always did that. And he always had this vision and fire in his heart and was just such a good man. And so I knew that he was going to be something special. So paying his bills was not a big deal to me. And boy, did that pay off. That was a good investment, right? That I made.
But here's the thing. I love this. I love what you're saying, Jessica, because, everybody needs someone in their life that believes in them. Everybody needs somebody in their life that can cheer them on and that can see something inside of them that they don't have the perspective to see in themselves yet. Mm-hmm. And I love what you're saying because it first of all, it speaks a lot about you, and certainly speaks a lot about Ray for sure. But I always like, who are you? I mean, who in your life can you be that cheerleader for? Because you're here for somebody else. Your story, your edification, your empowerment is for somebody else. You're here to be a cheerleader for somebody else who can't quite see it themselves yet. And so I love that part of the story. I just love that part of y'all's story.
It's so true. So true. And he's totally been my cheerleader and my rock star at times where I needed it, for sure. So there is not, and I'm sure you can say the same about Larry, there is not a day in our relationship that goes by that man has not 100% supported whatever makes me happy. And so I just am so grateful for everything that we've been through.
Yeah, for sure. Well, and so then that sprung the, you guys being the number one earners there, and now we're into getting married. So this had to have been a very interesting role for you, not just the marriage part, but the fact that he was already a dad. And you talked about this being a stepmom. You talked about this kind of dynamic, already a ready-made family, and how you fit into it. So you want to talk about that a little bit and how those kind of dynamics played out?
Yeah. So I'll Ray and I had, can you hear me okay?
Yes. You kind of cut out a little bit. So I was like going, okay, so is that me or is that her?
I don't know whose internet it is, but it's just the world is, it's 2020 internet. We'll just talk about
that. We'll just leave it there, right? And leave it right there.
Right. No, so I'll start with the kind of business merger and that whole dynamic, and then talk about the family merger and how it's a weird word to describe a family, but I don't know. So Ray and I built our businesses separately, right? And then as you start to become a couple, people start assuming that because Ray is so powerful and amazing and dynamic, and he was really more of the speaker than I was at the time, because I was okay not doing that. And I was happy for him to do that. Like, to me, it was just shining on him, and that was a good thing for us. But people start to think that you didn't do it on your own. And that was a big problem for me. Yeah. And so we would, well, more me than him, but we would start to get in these little arguments over the business before we got married, because we would have so many mutual friends and so many mutual leads that would come in down the road, and I'd be like, no, that's mine. That's for my business, my business, my business, my business, all the way up until like a few months after we were married, because I couldn't get past that mentality of whatever good that happens to me, whatever good that happens to him, that's happening to the family unit, and we're one team. Yeah. And so it took a while for me to really understand that. And so as we got married, we merged our businesses together, and that became more and more real for me. But I think as a couple, especially maybe if you're engaged or you're just dating, there's almost this, there's healthy competition and then there's unhealthy competition. And we had some unhealthy competition for a while, mainly because of me and my insecurity of what everybody, or what I thought everybody was saying out there.
But that's kind of a two-pronged thing, because I can totally relate to this, being married to Larry Thompson, totally relate to this. The other side of it too, so there's, I think it's two-pronged what I'm hearing you say, because the way you grew up and having that insecurity and wanting that independence, so it's like what's mine is mine, because you never know if it's going to be like taken away, the rug's going to be pulled out from under you. So you have that kind of like protective mode, that was like your security. I can see that for sure, right? Mm-hmm. Then the other side of it too, being that, you are independent, you are strong, you are noteworthy, you can stand on your own 2 feet, and you did not have to ride off of whatever coattails or whatever Ray was doing, that you were your own independent business. And I can totally see that as, first of all, as a woman, number one, and playing that role together, you want to be protective of that. And not just be the arm candy or the trophy wife concept. And I'm feeling your pain right now. Like, I totally get this completely 100%. And I have been and would be the exact same way, without question.
Yeah. And we've talked about this, how we both have that Similar but not similar story, where we're both married to, you know, powerful men who do amazing things, and we support them 1,000%. But that, like, independence gene of what's mine is mine and I built this, that always kicks in. So it's interesting, but I've really learned to let that go. And but I always preface it with this: if Ray was not as supportive as he is to me, there's no way I could be as supportive as I am to him. And so I think it's a dual sword, right? It goes both ways.
It really does go both ways, because Larry does the same thing for me. He's like my biggest cheerleader. He's my biggest edifier. Like, you know, so, because, you know, and I know that you feel, I know that the same way, like, we've earned our role. Like, it was not given to us. It was not handed to us. We earned where we are by our own right, not by riding somebody else's coattails. And the fact that our husbands acknowledge that, you know, kudos to them, that they're strong enough to say, yeah, she's good. She's good. Like, so I love that. But so let's talk about this right here, because, you know, so you've just in the past, you know, 3 years now, you've entered into this new role of not only entrepreneur or wife, but now mom role, and like how the shift and the dynamics change, because we've actually had these conversations whenever you are driven, whenever you have purpose, whatever, and how you balance that out with family life, mom, and adjust those roles and that mindset of who you are in this space now, and priorities. Let's talk about that for a minute.
Yeah. So it's going on, almost 5 years now. I can't believe it. Sabrina's almost 5. And well, first I want to circle back to being a stepmom, because that came first. First of all, Ray's boys are incredible and have always been just such good boys. I'm very blessed there. But there are moments where I found myself getting a little protective, or a little, we'll just flat out call it bossy and controlling over the parenting of them, when it at that time wasn't really my place, because I didn't understand what was going on in the family dynamic. And so I've learned to step back on that, especially being a step parent, and let that be, because, you know, I've experienced that myself. I've experienced well, you should really be harder on them because of X, Y, and Z, when you don't have the same feelings as you do towards your own kids. And it's okay to say that to a degree. You know, it's one thing if you've raised them since they were babies, but if you meet them when they're 8 and 10 years old, then it's a different feeling. It just is. And it's okay to recognize that, but you have to be so inclusive and understand that you are now a family. Yeah. And that dynamic is so key. And so now, with having my own children, bringing them more into everything that we do helps me, and it makes our lives so much easier. And so now we're just one big happy family of 6, and it's crazy, and it's wild and nuts. And having a 5-year-old and now a 10-month-old who's almost a year, I can't believe it. It's gonna be a crazy. Yeah, so crazy. It's insane. I mean, it's anarchy at the Higdon house. I know it looks like it's not, but it can be anarchy at the Higdon house. And one thing I always stress is getting help.
Yes.
Feeling like you deserve the help is step one, because everyone's like, oh, well, it's easy for you to say you can just pay for help. No, there's of course exceptions, but there's most likely somebody in your life that you can call on if you just ask. Yes. For a little bit of help. And it's not a guilt thing. It's not a shame thing. You, as a mom, even if it's 1 kid or 5 kids, I mean, we have a client with 8 kids, whatever the case, you need to have help so that you can focus that present time. Because I think the worst thing in the world is being so in limbo between wanting to work your business and wanting to spend time with your kids that you can't be present for either. That's the worst thing in the world.
Well, I've always called it the pleasure pain principle, right? And so you have this, and we've kind of had this conversation before, because like, it's one of two ways, and you're always caught in between pleasure and pain. You have the pleasure of being inside of your business and doing your business and working the business, but in the back of your mind, you have the pain of not being mom and being present with the kids. And then whenever you're with the kids, you have the pleasure of being with your kids, but then you have the pain of not, driving, go, 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 go. And so you're constantly in that tug of war in that mind, the pleasure pain principle. And so, whenever I learned to, and it's intentional, it's so intentional that you have to be mindful. Okay, I have to be here. Wherever you are, be there intentionally, because otherwise you're going to be miserable if you're constantly between both business and children, or business and moms, guilt, all those emotions that come with that. So and we actually had this conversation whenever we were on our girls trip, because I know you were really, really wrestling with, wanting to go, 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 go. And it's almost like we talked about like being racehorses. We're like racehorses. We want to go, but like somebody's holding back the reins and we just want to run, that's the way we're built. How have you managed that? How have you managed those kind of emotions through this process? Because I think you've done, from the outside, it looks perfect, but like what's really happening behind the scenes?
Well, it's never perfect. But I still battle with the, like you said, the wanting to be so in the race. And I think just from overcommitting constantly, I've learned to undercommit. And for me at this moment in my life, I'd rather I looked at it this way. My business, I feel like at this point, with the skills that I've learned and the things that I've done, at any point in my life, if I really want to build a business or make more money or serve more people, I can do that. Because I've gained that confidence and built those skills. I trust myself.
Yes.
If I can't feel the same way about my kids, because they're only going to be this age right now.
Yeah.
That's not always going to be there.
Yeah.
So that's how I've looked at it and some women just don't have a choice. I'm grateful and lucky enough and have worked hard enough to have the choice that I can take a step back and enjoy every moment of their being right now. I still work. For me, that's like keeping me sane, because I love it. But I know that this age, the phase that they're in right now, that is not going to be here forever. Yes. But my business always will be.
Yeah.
So you have to trust yourself as a woman, as a mom. You have to trust yourself to know that when the time is right for you to go out and make it happen 150%, that time will be there. You will be an empty nester someday and be looking for a new purpose. Yeah. So, and I know you're going through that pretty much now, Taylor. I know they're probably back at home. It's a weird dynamic with colleges right now, but
well, Larry says they're never going to leave. Larry's like, they're never going to leave. Like, why would they leave? Like here, right? Like, why would they leave, right? So he's decided that he's going to buy the house on either side of us, and we're just going to make a commune, or what they call it, I don't know, a community. You
can build a bridge between the houses. Love it. Yeah,
we're just going to tear out the fences and just build a commune situation.
How can you guys adopt me? How does that work?
I've been asked that question before.
So I just think, right now, more of my focus is on my kids, because I trust myself that when the time is right, I will be able to implement those skills and do what I need to do. And that's taken me a little time and practice and skill to come to that realization. And I do still suffer a huge fear of loss with money, with business, with everything in my life because of my background, but I'm getting better every day.
I love the fact that, because sometimes, I mean, again, you have women looking on the outside and they see your life and they are like, well, now she's got it all together, right? And they don't know, like, oh yeah, it looks good here, but you don't know what's happening over here. I love that you're sharing that because it's so true. I mean, I think no matter what stage of life you're in, there's always wrestling points. There's always those, juggling priorities, mindset. So, what would you like to share with the ladies today? Like, if you were giving advice, and what would be the top 2, top 3 things that you would give women today as moms or as entrepreneurs? What words of wisdom would you give to them?
Well, I would say one very tactical thing is to pick a time during the day that you can be 100% present with your children. Especially if you have little kids, but even teenagers, they want that time with you.
Yes.
Not all the time. They certainly want to be with their friends, but the teenagers, they definitely want that one-on-one time with you. So that sounds cliche, but I'll tell you why it's so effective. Because if I don't spend, even with the little baby, like it's amazing how smart babies are. We don't give them enough credit. I mean, they really are smart
They're
kids.
just like sponges. Like,
seriously. It's amazing. So if I don't give them that and I choose an hour in my day, which seems like not a lot, it's an exorbitant amount of time to play Barbies, trust me. Okay. But if I...
Well, do you have the Barbie voice down? I mean, you got to have the right Barbie voice if you're going to play Barbie,
Oh, yeah. Hi, Ken, I'm home. Where's my car? We're going shopping. Yeah, no, I have it all down. And Sabrina has the same voice. It's hilarious. It goes up like 8 octaves. But if I don't play that with her, I don't sit down with her for present time, the whole day for her is ruined, which ruins my day because I can't focus because she's constantly like, mommy, mommy, mommy. If I take that time with her and the baby and I spend those precious moments with them, it's like all of a sudden the rest of the day just opens up and they're okay with whatever I do for the rest of my day. It's not me telling them, okay, now I have to get this done, so please stop bothering me. It's like, okay, mommy's going to go do this now, and then we'll play in a little bit after I get this done. Okay, mom. It's a completely different response. Yeah. So that's why I stress how important that really is. Although you've probably heard it so many times. If you're not doing it, just...
Did we lose you?
Sorry?
I lost you there for a minute. If you're not doing that, if you said, well, you cut out. So if you're not doing that currently.
Just do it. Yeah. Like Nike, just do it.
Just do it. Well, and the other thing is that if you promise to do it, make sure you stand by your word. Like if you tell them you're going to do something, whatever you do, make sure that you live up to that. Whatever you promise them, whatever deals you cut with them, if you're saying, I'm going to be here or I'm going to play with you, make sure you do it or they won't trust you. And this is great wisdom. I hope you mamas are taking good notes out there because great wisdom right here.
Totally. And you're teaching them to stick by their word and have integrity too. So you always have to think about that. And we're not perfect. I mean, there's definitely times I said I would do something and something happens and I can't, and I apologize profusely and say that I will make it up to them. But most of the time, 99% of the time, yeah, you have to follow through. Yeah. So that's a really good point. And just from a business perspective right now, being a mom with kids at home and everything going on. See, the great thing about men is that they can compartmentalize and they can laser focus on things. Women, so I'm reading this great book. It's called, oh gosh, now I just blanked on the name.
Oh, well, I was going to ask you that anyway. So
men are like waffles. Women are like spaghetti.
Ooh.
And so men, their brain literally thinks like waffles. so they jump from box to, like, this is science, okay? I know it sounds weird, but this is science. So their brain, it jumps from box to box to box. And so if you start inputting something that's not in the right box, or that they're focused on this and you're talking about something over here, they have to literally take their whole mind and jump from one box to the next and follow what's going on. That's why it's very hard for them if you're talking about a million different things throughout their day. They're like still focused on the first thing you said, right?
Yeah.
Which serves them because they can be so laser focused on things that make them feel good, like, you know, winning in business or whatever, playing a sport, whatever the case may be. For women, we're like spaghetti. So our brains, like literally everything is intertwined.
Right.
Everything. So current events, business, kids, personal life, exercise, diet, like everything is intertwined in our brains. So I would say from a business perspective, our habits are so much more important than even men's, because it's very easy for men to get into a habit. I shouldn't say easy, okay? It takes discipline for sure, but it's much easier for them to get into habits than women sometimes, because everything is going through our mind each and every morning. So if you can wake up in the morning and start a habit first thing in the morning of reaching out to people every single day, and just having that alone time for 30 minutes while you have your coffee or you do whatever, those habits are what's going to take your brain from thinking like spaghetti to start more focusing on what you need to get done. And then whatever happens the rest of the day, at least you got that one thing done for the day. So those would be my two major points as a mom and as a business builder, is just try and take your mind from thinking like spaghetti. And I hate to say it this way, but try practicing thinking more like a man with everything else that's going on right now and focusing in the morning.
It's so true. I mean, like Jess, like you were like nailed me even right now, like, because we have so many of these projects going on, like, it's like, oh my gosh. I mean, I'm all over, like, I have to write everything down. Okay. I've got to get you know, because otherwise I can paralyze myself with all the things that I've got. If I don't take that time to just laser beam focus, I totally agree. This is such great wisdom. And to really, I mean, Larry always taught me, like, eat the crust. You know, the crust is, nobody wants to eat the crust of the sandwich, right? They peel the crust off and they want to eat the heart of the sandwich. Eat the crust first. Do the stuff that you don't want to do and get that over with. So great. So this book, it's Men Are Like Waffles, Women Are Like Spaghetti. Is that the deal?
Yeah. And it's great for business. It's great for relationships, because it really explains why men do the things that they do that I had no idea. Like, I would come home and say something to Ray and he's like, sure, I can take Sabrina to the park. And I'm like, did you not even listen to me? Did you not hear one thing I just said? And I went on and on about this going on in this project, and this person said this. And it's like, that's because he's trying to jump into all the different boxes. And, you know, I'm like, everything's intertwined. What's
wrong? Why can't you keep up with what I'm saying? Like,
right.
What's wrong with you?
Right. Exactly. So that's kind of how those fights start. So it's great.
Have you ever read the book, Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus?
I did a long time ago, and I'll be honest, I forget most of it, but I remember it being a really good book.
Yeah, it's kind of the same thing, because you're like, well, why don't they understand the language I'm speaking? Am I speaking English here? Like,
totally.
So, well, okay, so that's your book. So do you have, like, you know, because you do a lot of mindset stuff, obviously. What are some of the things that tricks or tools that you would use? Like, do you have quotes or scriptures or anything that you do in that arena?
I've recently really been into, Ray and I both have been really into Joe Dispenza. And so I had no idea who he was, but he's done a lot of work with Tony Robbins. And he's just an amazing mindset coach. And he does these, you can look him up. He has tons of meditations online. So I just kind of scroll through and do those meditations. And especially with what's going on, he's really focusing on that. And what I love about him is it's very scientific as well as spiritual. So he talks about how the different studies that not only his research team has done, but other universities and things have done around your mind and what it can create within your body. So it's just phenomenal and amazing stuff. And so I would suggest just looking up, any meditation that speaks to you right now to kind of calm your mind.
So you can do, so is it Dr. Joe Dispenza? Is that who it is?
Yeah.
Dispenza, would he Despenza?
I think it's Dispenza, I think.
So it's a podcast, right?
He's got everything. I mean, YouTube videos, podcasts. Impact Theory is a really good video to watch.
Oh yeah, I love that. I love them. Well, gosh, Jess, this has been such a pleasure to hang out with you and spend time here with the ladies in the group and them get to know you a little better. And
yeah, thank you.
Now, and I mean, just taking the time out to be away from kiddos and to share your journey of success and what you guys are doing. So as we close here, what's on the horizon for you? I mean, do you have anything that you're working on that you would like to share, or
anything that we're working on? No, we're not working on anything. No, I'm just kidding. There's so much. What do I share? I would just say that our second season of Play to Win is coming out shortly. So be on the lookout for that. Really excited. It's where we in about 40 different men and women from all over the world to compete to work for the Higdon Group. And we really hammer the importance of value. And it's really like a hardcore mindset boot camp that we put them through, and we had a lot of fun this season. So excited.
I saw some of the take with some of the videos and stuff. I was like, okay, I want to just go and just play and see what it's all about. I don't care. I don't know. I might want to win, but just to go, just to go and compete.
It's pretty intense. I mean, these guys, I give them so much credit. Like, they show up like rock stars. I don't know that you'd want to compete, but it's pretty amazing. So,
well, I love it. Well, we'll definitely be on the lookout for that. And again, just as we say, you guys ladies give Jessica some big love and hugs here as we're getting ready to sign off. But I'll say bye to you privately. But thanks so much for tuning in. We are here with Wisdom Wednesday. We have Jessica Higdon here. And if you have not become a member of the She Network, we're doing our founding member launch at a special price right now. We've got some great masterclass with Kimberly Olson, the Gold Digger Girl, doing a 3-day Instagram training coming up. So you want to check that out. So that's it for us today, ladies, and hope you guys have a blessed week. And we're signing off now from the She Network. Bye.
Bye.